Hello, all, and welcome back to a new episode of Movies and Us, a weekly gathering place filled with conversations about movies, stories, and connection. My name is Jennifer Hahn.
And I'm Sarah Callan.
And today we have a momentous occasion, a big anniversary. We're going to be reviewing Friday, and we are joined by two very special guests. We couldn't do this without them, honestly. Like, it would not be right. The world needs to spin correctly. So we're joined by Pat and Jarren. Y'all want to introduce yourselves?
I'm Pat. I've been here before, usually with the homie Nate, but now we're here with the brother Jarren to talk about this fantastic movie.
Yes. My name is Jarren, first time guest on the show. And I was tapped for this because, this movie, 30 years going. I think I've probably seen it 30 years straight too. So it's an important movie in my life. And I'm grateful to talk about it with you guys. So thank you.
When scientists study the DNA of these two dudes, they're going to be like, oh, I see these strings and these strings and these strings. And like, there's something, it looks like a F and an R and an I and a D and an A and a Y in there. This is part of their being. So we had to do it with them together and celebrate this momentous occasion. So we're going to be talking all things Friday, all of their thoughts, what this movie means to them. I think I'm really excited to hear like your origin stories. Like, do you remember the first time you watched this movie? All that goodness, some of the stories along the way associated with this movie as well that will be shared. So, Sarah, do you want to kick us off with an IMDb summary for Friday?
Sure. It's Friday, and Craig and Smokey must come up with $200 they owe a local bully, or there won't be a Saturday.
Oh, that's a good IMDb summary. Okay. Usually they're kind of bland. Usually they're just like, and this happened and this happened. But that was a good ending. I felt that. Okay. One sentence summaries. Movies and tradition.
Hold on.
Jarren is
I'm throwing a wrench in that shit. Usually do your spoiler warning after we do the summaries and we talk about if people like the movie. Fuck all that. Big Worm's coming at him for $200 and Debo takes a brick to the face. If you don't know, get the hell out.
Spoiler.
That's Pat's version of a spoiler alert, I guess, by spoiling the movie for you before you have time to press pause. All right. The Agent of Chaos has arrived. It's barely minute 3. Well done. You've shown up to the party.
Well,
okay. Can we now do our one sentence summaries? Do we have your permission, your blessing?
Let's try it out.
Okay.
Let's try it out.
Well, let's do it. All right. Jerry, do you want to share yours?
Yeah, I'll kick it off. So Friday is a movie, but more than a movie. It's the updating of all Black vocabulary for every person born from the 60s, 70s, and 80s, passed down like oral tradition to every kid born from the 90s, 2000s, moving forward. So it's a language upgrade for the entire nation. That's what Friday is.
Oh, so good. Well done.
Love it.
Pat's.
Love it. Now I want you two to go.
All right. Okay. Keeping us on our toes. Sarah, do you want to share yours? Do you want me to share mine?
Sure. My one sentence summary is peer pressure is a hell of a drug.
Nice.
Oh, yeah.
Nice. My one sentence summary is, for most people, Friday's just the day before the weekend. But after this Friday recording, Sarah and Jen will never be the same.
Beautiful.
I love it. My one sentence summary, greatest movie of all time, and we're recording this podcast on a Friday. What up with it?
I thought that was so fitting. Yeah, I thought that this is so fitting. We are recording on a Friday, and that's pretty fire. All right. Where should we dive in first? I'm really curious when I was starting to watch this movie. I was thinking about, do y'all remember the first time you've watched this movie, or do you not remember? Like, it's just kind of been in your life, in your childhood growing up.
I don't
First time? Yeah, I can't say the first time.
I don't remember the first time watching it, but I remember the first time that Jarren and I crossed paths, or there was an intersection with this movie. I had to do some deep thinking on this. Freshman year of college, I had a desktop computer. I have a laptop, and a classmate was like, "We gonna work on our class project in my room." So it's a Sunday morning. Me and two other people go over to his room, and it's Jarren's roommate. Jarren's not there, and he's like, "Yo, use my motherfucking roommate's laptop." I'm like, that feels weird. That feels like an intrusion. On their TV in the corner, they just had Friday on loop, loop, and loop. And I was like, the DVD. I was like, well, this is a good sign. Jarren at some point comes back from wherever he was, and it's just like, "Oh, what's up, Pat James?" And I'm just sitting on his bed with his laptop in my lap, feeling all kinds of a way. And Scott's just like, "Yeah, Negro, he using your laptop." And Jarren just tried, like, "All right," changed his shirt and left.
That's how
And
you knew he was a real
those
one.
were the seeds that would grow into something epic years later.
Were you guys friends at that point, or like y'all were just friends of friends, like didn't really even know each other?
No, we weren't friends. He wasn't in my classes or anything
Yeah,
like
we
that.
were acquaintances.
Wow.
So
That was the beginning. Jarren, do you remember this moment?
I do. I
You're
remember
like, who's this fool on my bed? Using
yeah,
my stuff?
my roommate treated the space like a study hall anyway. Right. So people would be up in there, trying to help him with his
All
homework.
right.
So no, and look, I treated the place like a place to sleep at, and I was outside other than that. So coming back home from wherever I was that weekend, which could have been anywhere, it's like, oh, all right, whatever. This was happening.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Yeah. Nice. Okay. So who do you think out of the two of you has watched this movie more? Because I know that Pat loves to tell us about how many times this has been spun, either in his DVD player, on the TV. Like, do you guys talk about that? You're like, no, my love's actually greater for this movie.
Oh no.
It's hard. It's hard to do that math because, like, at some point, it's so ingrained. You've seen it the same amount of times. It's like you can't ask two heroin addicts, who did more heroin. They're both addicted. It's a wrap. They've done it the same amount of times in that sense.
And like 60% of the times that I shot up in the trap house, Jarren be sitting right there next to you.
Yep. There we go.
Yup. Okay, well, let's dive in. Let's talk a little bit about, like, over the years, like, what has this movie meant to you? I think, Jarren, you kind of alluded to this a little bit in your one-sentence summary too, but just kind of the significance of this film in your life, how it shaped you, how it shaped kind of just the psyche, the cultural moment, the people. Like, I would love to hear both of y'all share a little bit more about that.
Sure. So I was raised primarily by my mom, and she was a huge Friday fan. So there was often she would say something that's from the movie, like, to me. So growing up, it was like there's catchphrases and phrases from the movie that were a part of just conversation. Like, you live by it. And so watching the movie a lot as a kid too, on repeat, you got to know it kind of blurred the line of, like, fiction and reality. Crazily, it was like it just felt real. Like, the movie felt like it was a real fantasy, so to speak. Like, I get it, everything happened in the movie is fantastic, but no, this really would be happening in life too. And, like, my mom is a product of that. It's a part of her speech. It's a part of my understanding. And it's like you come across other people in life, and they quote the movie in their own way, and it's like, oh, see, so you see the widespread impact. It's just locked into people's minds in such a way where they live by it, like Proverbs or something. So that's the impact on my psyche, I'll say. It's always stuck with me and kept me grounded in a sense, right? Because it's not like a intellectual script, so or anything like that, high vocabulary type script, but it's hard hitting. It's a punchy script. And so if you ever feel like you're getting too big for your britches, Friday will bring you back down to earth in a good way. It's like good medicine. I'll pass it to you, Pat. What you got?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, this movie being embedded in the psyche that's real. Like, just the quotes, the comments, the mannerisms. I'll say for me, this movie has done two things. One, it has made me appreciate beautiful simplicity. Because this movie is not complex. Like, it's not a plot that's, jumping all over the place, and the setting is on one block, like, just being able to appreciate the simplicity of things, you know? Like, not every movie has to be aspiring to be Tenet or uh Inception or some shit. And then the other thing is this movie's been a vehicle to bring people together over the years, more than I ever would have expected. And so, having watch parties, anniversary parties, Jarren and I just watching it, the two of us, other people rolling in, rolling out. Some people getting pissed off because they can't use their brand new television they just bought because Jarren and I watch Friday every single Friday while we play beer pong after class gets out. Shout out Chris McCoy, sorry dog. We still love you.
To add to Pat, we're going to talk about it some more, but like this movie's timeless comedy, and I think I know why it's timeless. I think I know why. We'll talk about that. Let's
talk about it, because I felt that this time on another rewatch. I watched this a few years ago, evangelized from Pat. I think it was one of the first movies that he recommended that I watched that we kind of traded movie recs on. But it's gotten funnier. There's just like little details and jokes that I'm like, I didn't catch that the first time around. And like, it's back to back to back jokes too. There's no like, oh, we build up a joke and then we come down from it and let it breathe. Like, it's just moment after moment is funny. So it has aged so well. And so, Jarren, I'm curious your thoughts on like that timelessness, because comedy is really hard to be timeless and taken outside of its moment that it feels relevant or of the period of time it was made in. So yeah, tell us more about your thoughts on that.
I feel like the reason it's timeless is because most of the main characters in the movie are archetypes of people you meet in the hood. Like, they represent the quintessential thing that you see in the hood. Any hood. It doesn't have to be a black hood. Play any hood. You're gonna meet the fool or the druggie like Smokey. You're gonna meet the everyman, regular guy like Craig. There is the bully, and that's obvious who that is in Debo. There's the hood entrepreneur and Big Worm. Like, there's the annoying person, aka Felicia, like just a nuisance on the block. Then you got the bad little kid and Chris.
You gotta have the crackhead.
You got the crackhead of all crackhead. I mean, Izelle is every crackhead combined into one person, right? It's just, so when anybody, I don't care where you are in the world, thinks about your neighborhood version of that, it's in Friday. Like, so I think like Ice Cube and DJ Pooh, when they wrote the movie, they weren't thinking, what does Smokey act like? They were thinking, what is like the druggie act like? Like, high dude. What do you act like all the time? Over the top. Smokey just embodies like this over the top character of anybody who's just a pothead to the max. And I think that's why the characters always land, like, just hit for anybody, even an outsider seeing it for the first time, never been in LA, none of that. You don't have to be from there or anything to just get it. So, yo, I get it. And even the story, like the plot itself, like, is very timeless. Like, it's about, it sounds like it's just about a day of the week, two guys trying to survive it. But underneath that, right, it's like this story about Craig trying to go from being a boy to a man, right? In a sense, and a very important conversation happens later in the movie that solidifies that's one of the main reasons. Standing up to bullies is like a part of the movie that anybody can relate to. When you get the Craig versus Debo tension, and being a passive observer into an active participator in life, that's also Craig. First, he's watching everything, but his goofy friend, who we all have a goofy friend, drags him into a situation. We all been dragged into something we weren't supposed to be in because of our friend. And he has to become an active participant in getting out of the situation. Like, it's like, oh. So everybody's been like that. I'm just chilling, minding my business. And someone says, nah, you in this now with me. It's like, oh. And so I think all those little elements, like, they're not explicitly said, this is what the movie's about. It just happens. And you know what's happening deep down inside your bones. And you're like, I can relate. That's it. So I think it'll be timeless, because that's a human experience.
That's so good, because so much of humor is like relatability. You're like, that hits yeah, like I've felt that before. I've experienced it before. I've seen someone that's like that before, or I am like that. And that's universal. That's human. Yeah. Sarah, I'm curious your thoughts on the humor, the timelessness of this film.
Yeah, I think there are also some fun, like, variations in humor too. I I loved Craig's mom. I thought she was so funny. Oh my gosh, when we first are introduced to her and she's cooking all this food in the kitchen and it's all for her, hilarious. So I loved all of those little moments in, like, different types of comedy because obviously, you know, Smokey is a very big personality, and that is one type of humor. But then you have these other more subversive types of humor, like with the mom. And I appreciate that the way the film will like set up something and then it'll kind of like swerve a little bit. And in that dissonance between what you expected and what it does, that's really funny. So I loved all of those kind of variations and varieties throughout the film that help keep it feeling fresh and not just like one note or one style of humor.
Yes. All right. Let's jump in. Let's think about this. Craig wakes up, pounding on the door. Some old women with a chip on the shoulder. He sits down to have some cereal. He going straight cartoon with it. He put the whole box in the bowl. What did y'all notice about the milk?
I'm thinking back. Clearly, it's something funny based on Jarren's reaction. It says it's like a white carton with red text on it, and I think it says like non-homogenized or something on the label. I don't remember.
Cold.
Yeah, Jen is thinking. She's thinking too deep. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Right. That's
Okay.
fine. Jarren, what happens with the milk?
It's comedy genius. What happens with the milk? The milk just jumps out in one plow.
Oh,
Yeah, if you watch, the milk doesn't pour out like any liquid would pour out of a container. It launches out. They like something was up with that carton. That carton was messed with, and it's hilarious.
Brilliant. It's a subtle move, but it's hilarious. The milk just jumps out. It's a little bit. You got Craig smacking the bottom of the thing. Like, there's got to be more. Like, it's like, nah, bro. And then, of course, a famous statement comes after that from Pops when he's trying to pour it into the trash.
Hey, you just got to put some water on that damn shit.
From then on, there were probably kids putting water in their cereal just to try it. A whole generation. So let me put some water in my Captain Crunch right now. Let me see what the deal is, just in case, I'm out of milk.
mm-hmm.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Also, some of the they do a good job with facial expressions of people like receiving someone else.
Yeah.
So like when Craig closes the fridge and his dad's sitting there eating grapes and like sucking his fingers, there's like two different shots of him just like making expressions while Mr. Jones is just on it.
Same with Craig's reactions throughout the movie are like a man perplexed. Like, what is going on? Like, you went back to his mom cooking that big meal, and she's like, I'm cooking all this stuff. Ham, hot sausage. He's like, oh, yeah, hook it up. Then he goes to sit down at the table, and she just got the plate. She's like, oh, I didn't say no, this was for you. It's for me. The look on his face is, I can't believe. What? Oh, yeah. Like, what kind of black mess is this? That's what it feels like.
I want to know what y'all two's thoughts were when we first meet Smokey.
He would be popping out of a window. You know what I mean? That's how we would be meeting this character. I think the first time I watched this movie, I'm like taking it all in. But noticing it the second time around, he's just, like, and such a contrast to Craig, who's like cool, calm, and collected, like taking things, like you mentioned, passive observing his environment, kind of like figuring out how to walk. Smokey is like barreling through life in every possible way in flying colors. And I feel like him popping out of the window at Craig's room is like correct. That is correct for how we would meet this character and everything else that they get into next.
Well, and his agility to get in and out of windows as effectively as he does is insane. I think it was when he was breaking into Stanley's house, maybe, and he just hops into this little tiny window. And I'm like, how did you do that? Like, Chris Tucker is a tall guy. But he managed to get through this little tiny window. But I thought it was so interesting to think about, like, obviously this came out in 95. And I feel like a lot of movies and TV shows had people going in and out of people's windows in like late 80s, early 90s. Like, there's a lot of like sitcom stuff that happens with people going in and out of windows. And I just found that really interesting that we then see this here. So I thought that was also like a cute nod to like a former time. You know, it might be weird for a movie to come out today when a guy is just like showing up in his friend's window like that. But it made sense in 1995 and is just a perfect fit for this character.
I love that the interactions are authentic. Like, what I mean by that is when you watch movies, most movies, and God, when you watch procedurals, like the way people end phone calls and interactions is wildly unrealistic to the human experience. It's like, all right, well, we'll see how they do in court. And then two people just walk in opposite directions, even though they met up to have a cup of coffee and walk through a park. Like, hanging up the phone, it's always just like someone ends a sentence, click. There's no goodbye, talk to you later, talk to you tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, and yeah, I don't know. When I was rewatching this, I was like, man, these interactions are authentic. Like, Craig says to his mom, tell her I'll call her back. Okay. Like, just.
Yeah. And with the annoyed look too. Like,
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. The interactions feel very organic. Like, that's really happening. So shout out to the script and the editing of the post-production. They like cut it off at the right point. All these scenes are like cut off at the right point. It's like, oh yeah.
So now Smokey's outside, Big Worm rolls up. They have their interaction. What y'all think about Big Worm?
Hey, I'm letting someone else go first.
His hair. That's the first thing I noticed.
Big perm.
Not the hair.
That's right.
Loved it. Yeah. His hair and his rollers. So funny.
And then the drama of the car. Like, it's so it's so big, it's flashy. You know his presence is here, and he wants you to know that his presence is here. And so, like, all of the showmanship of it all, I think is like so notable about how that character comes in. And I think honestly, every character, like this is like just colorful personalities that these two are weaving in and out of in their day to day. Some of them come back and boomerang back into their day again. And every character shows up with flying colors, and how we're introduced to them, the music being aligned to how they show up, I think is so interesting in like creating like an atmosphere when that person enters a scene. So like every time Debo shows up, you've got the like ominous theme, like Darth Vader's rolling by as with the like bike pedal shots. So like I just think all of that is so specifically designed for each character as they roll in and out of frame, literally, with our crew.
I love it because Jen just touched on the point that I wanted to make later. But Big Worm shows up. That's like when you get the first sense of danger, even though it's a funny moment, right? But he's got the gun on right there. But still, what you come away with is Big Worm is like everybody still says in the Black community, it's the principalities instead of the principles. And so even things Big Worm said are like earworms, like they stuck in the mind. Playing with my money, it's like playing with my emotions. I don't care what Phase on Love ever did after that. He's Big Worm.
Right.
The rest of his life. Nothing he can't avoid it. So everything he said in his short moment landed. It like you got stuck with something that he said, but you also get that sense of danger that he's gonna be the main antagonist at the end of the day. And you should try to see how it plays out. But it's like a quick moment, but important for the rest of the plot.
Smokey steal from his own mom before he fuck with Big Worm shit.
Oh yeah.
So now Smokey's
Wait, that
there.
one moment. One other thing about that moment. That moment also adds immediate stakes to everything. Like at the beginning, we're hanging out with our buds. But that moment, there's a clear set of like rules that are established and a clear set of like tension that's created. Like there's a deadline. And if not, like there's it's so clearly spelled out for us, which I think helps add to every moment that happens afterwards. It's kind of looming in our minds. We're like, yeah, you guys got to figure this out. You know what I mean? And so that also changes the atmosphere. The stakes have deepened for our two protagonists.
Yes.
Go ahead, Pat.
And Smokey be there just because he want to tell Craig a story. Craig comes outside. Why you ain't at work? Got fired yesterday. That whole interaction, it's gold.
Yeah, how you get fired on your day off?
Right.
What a line, bro. What you trying to steal boxes? You trying to build a clubhouse?
Exactly.
Man, I know you ain't go out like that. They said they got me on tape.
And Smokey's facial expressions during that whole interaction, priceless.
Smokey can't believe it.
Right.
He can't believe it.
And then,
yeah, it's great.
We get introduced.
And the cinematography of that scene is great. That's one where I was like, man, the shots in this are so well constructed for the moment. Because you got that upside down shot with Smokey being like, what do you mean? You know? And like that, all of that is so, because they're lifting as they're having this conversation, you know? So that adds so much like dynamic energy to that scene too. They could have just been sitting there, but no, there's movement. You got to really feel the expressiveness of Smokey's reactions to the news too. Yeah.
That's right. And then, let's see. In short order, actually, what y'all think of Joy, Craig's lady friend, who be calling here, and he went to the show last night?
I wonder if they picked up on something in that scene that I didn't pick up for years.
Same.
I'll let them describe it. When Joy calls him up and they're talking, do you notice anything about Joy or her room?
She got that red telephone.
Sarah got it, I
think. Sarah, you're observant. You tend to pick up on these things.
I didn't get it on my own. I read trivia on IMDb, and it's in a spoiler section of IMDb.
But you didn't catch it while you watched.
Mm.
Love it. Love it.
What is it?
It took Jarren and I years to catch this after having watched this movie dozens of times. Joy is calling Craig to accuse him of philandering and being out at the club at the show last night. She giving him the business and the rundown. Meanwhile, Jarren, what's happening?
There's a dude sleeping in her bed.
Right behind her.
You see the dickies on him right there.
No shirt. This nigga's just passed out. She got a picture of Craig right behind her head.
I did not notice that at all. Oh my gosh. I need to go watch that scene again.
And now the song makes sense. She ain't nothing but a hoochie mom. You know, the song is on.
Right.
You think, it's because the way she acting on the phone. Like, no, how she acting. Look at there's a dude in her bed while she, come on. It's crazy. Brilliant, though. That was, brilliant.
Yes.
I just imagine you two being like, oh my God.
Like they changed the movie. It felt like they changed the movie and added that in.
Yes.
Nah.
It totally does, because she comes up, she comes later, and it feels like it's righteous, like she's upset because her man's, has got another girl in his home that's coming out, so it totally changes the dynamic between all the scenes that she's in later in the movie.
Now, Smokey comes to tell a story. What'd y'all think of our first black and white flashback, where the way they introduce Debo is incredible cinema. That man takes up the entire frame as the camera just pans up.
Yeah, I think Jen already mentioned it with the music, but I think it's all of these little components are so effective in making him this ominous force in the neighborhood, and you feel his presence. And so it's not just seeing the characters being afraid and like taking off their watches and jewelry and hiding their stuff. Like, we see how the characters are reacting, but we also feel that same sense of foreboding that they are experiencing through the music and the cinematography and all of that. So I thought that was really effective anytime Debo is introduced in creating that same sense of like, oh no, Debo is coming in us as the viewers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it does. is foreboding. He takes up the camera space. I mean, he just the way he looks is just danger zone. So that scene though, like solidifies what a bully is in the hood in a very over the top way. From them playing dice, and Smokey's like, "I won. Give me my money." And he was like, "You what? I lost." It's like, dang, that'd be happening. You're like, oh my goodness. Then Red shows up with his dad. That's a grown man showing up with his dad for backup.
Ask for the bike that is flipped upside down, sitting right next to them while they play dice.
And then he gonna blame his dad for asking for it. Pops be tripping. He want me to ask for my bike back. You know I wouldn't trip. Terrifying.
Yeah.
And Debo is one of those bullies where he's like, he'll make you seem like he's listening to you, but he already planned out what he's about to do to you. Oh yeah, come, it's right this way, homie. So he draws Red in and then delivers the punch heard around all of cinema in the world. And Red gets the uppercut that puts him sky high on his back. And his pops comes out and says a line that I've heard from family members since then. Debo says, "You want some too, old man?" Pop says, "No." And I've heard that so many times. When like you go in the backyard of someone's house and they got a dog in the back, no, go back inside. Oh man. So yeah, that scene solidified Debo's character.
Yeah.
Like, don't mess with him. And of course, Smokey's line. Everybody knows that. You got knocked everybody knows you got knocked the F out.
Right.
Saying that. They saying that to this day.
Oh yeah. And just the way Red, like they film that, like when he hits the ground, it's like camera behind Debo's slipper. Like
crazy shot.
So good. Did y'all notice anything else about that scene? Oh, see, we coming with the deep.
Yeah, I was gonna say
deep cut trivia today.
That's the there's an intro. There's you talking about the actor being introduced to the world, Pat?
Yes, sir. Shout out to a pre-famous cameo to the homie. Rest in peace. Who is it?
Hey, Sarah's got it. I'm gonna let her say it.
Yeah, Sarah's got it.
His name has escaped my head off. Like I had it and then I lost it, but I know who you're talking about, and I was so pleased to see him.
So you caught him while you were watching.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Clark Duncan.
It's so wild to see him there.
Mm-hmm.
It's another giant man in the hood.
And that's it. You don't see him anymore in the movie. You just in that moment, he got a cameo. Like what?
Mm-hmm.
Man.
Now, characters run to the store to get Joanne some smokes. They come back, and
I love this sequence.
That is when we see the most distressing frame of the entire movie.
For Pat, let's put an asterisk on that. For Pat, that scene is distressing. I know exactly what he's talking about.
It's the most distressing scene in the movie.
There's no way Jennifer Sarah gonna guess what that moment is.
No.
When they pull back up at Smokey's, and the car keeps going after he shut it off, keeps rolling. Stop the mother.
Oh,
and the Smokey's shoe does a full drag. That part hurts Pat's soul.
Yeah, them shoes was clean until that moment. Also,
and there's a close up of that too.
Yeah, they like make you hear it.
They show that all of it.
And can we just appreciate Smokey locking his car because he don't want no one messing with it, even though it's a convertible?
Yeah. Then he tells Craig, like, "Hey, can you make sure to watch that? Watch it.
Watch my car."
Yeah.
Like, what?
Mm-hmm.
I also loved the constant backfiring of his car too. That was another level of humor. On like everything with his car was funny. Just individually, it's hilarious, and then you put them all together, and it just makes for a really funny scene with him, even though it is distressing. But there's also humor in it.
It took me years with the backfiring to notice that part when they leave the store, Pat, and the backfire happens, and Ezell ducks.
Ezell dives for his life.
I didn't notice that for years that he was dodging. He thought he was dodging bullets.
That's right.
I was like, but that's some hood stuff too. That's some hood stuff too. If the car backfire, people be looking like, yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mm.
And he's Zell. I mean, can we just give the man his flowers in the store when he'll settle out of court for $20? What was it? $1 and some envelopes?
Yeah. And he says the phrase, he acts like he slips in the store. I'm hurt.
Yeah.
And he's like, my neck and my back.
Mm-hmm.
That's been like a part of the vocabulary ever since.
Mm-hmm. Also, this man slipped, but his 40 is perfectly placed next to his head on the floor, upright.
Man with priorities.
Yeah.
I'm hurt, but the 40 is fine,
Yeah.
Give me $1 and some envelopes. The job rate, $20.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, man. So now
This was one of my favorite sequences in the movie because it's when I really felt like every detail in this movie is funny. And it's joke after joke in every frame. Smokey's car license plate says fuck it. And I was thinking about him like picking it up, being like, what would be so funny? Like just the thought of that's funny. Then you got the like Black-owned sign at this neighborhood store, pan down, little old Chinese man popping up. Like it's just, it doesn't have to build up to a joke. And I love that because so much of comedy movies today, like, give you this long crescendo and then you come down from the joke and this long crescendo. And this movie's just like, no, we're going to give you so much, so meaty, moment to moment. Every moment is funny. Little details, little signs are funny. And it really rewards more watches where you start to just notice and you're like, it's just what?
This is one of those movies that
No breath.
to this day I will still laugh out loud when I'm watching.
100%.
Yeah.
Like hard laugh.
Right. Like there's been times when people have been in the background while Jarren and I have been watching this, like rolling through the apartment with a roommate or something or other.
Yeah.
They be thinking we watching this for the first time. False. It's just funny like that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
We were talking earlier about the facial expressions. That is one thing. I think the first watch, Smokey's obviously like the big colorful personality that's like the source of a lot of comedic moments. Craig, this watch, unlike him just reacting in that whole Bye Felicia scene, is so funny. Like his furrowed eyebrows, him leaning away, like all of those physicality gestures that he's doing. It's gold. It's so funny.
No,
also,
He's just like,
go ahead, Pat.
Nah, I think you're going to the same place.
I don't know, maybe. I was talking about Craig's expressions, the scene when he first gets high.
Oh,
my goodness, when he starts to feel or hear his heart beating and he looks at Smokey and the camera's real zoomed in on him, his eyes are like got a little slight cross going on.
Yeah.
He's like just dead stare. He's like, I can hear my heart beating. Smokey's like, man, that's what it's supposed to do. Man, my joint beating a little too fast. Smokey's like, man, that's the chronic. Don't even worry about it. No, listen. He runs in the house. We're going to talk about that scene again, too, when it comes to music. He runs in the house and runs back out. But they go inside to get the Kool-Aid. And you know what's happened when he's holding it, like, man, got no sugar, and he starts getting close to Smokey again. Man, you a funny-looking mother.
Hold on now.
Oh, I ain't with that now. But his face, Craig's face is like, yo, he hitting all the notes right now.
Mm-hmm.
All in them. That joint's hilarious. Just looking at him is hilarious.
Also, Smokey, y'all ain't never got two things that match. Kool-Aid, no sugar.
Kool-Aid, no sugar. Peanut butter, no jelly.
No
ham,
jam.
no burger.
Yeah.
Come on. People saying that right now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, my goodness.
So good.
So,
another moment that I like, it's a little throwaway little line that I was just like, man, this is so good. It's just sharp. It's sharp from one moment. Is the mom is talking, she kind of judging Miss Parker. She's like, why she got to be wearing that here? The next moment, hey, girl. I'm like, that's some girl stuff right there. Like that, we do that, like we're just like, judgment. And then we're like, it's so accurate and it's so representative of a dynamic that exists widespread. They captured it in this like one little throwaway line. Oh, it's so good.
Going to work. Call me when you get home.
Yeah.
Okay. that long drawn out. Okay.
I bet Sarah loved that.
It's
Brilliant.
so good too because it's it's two grown adults that are doing it. And I think that also adds to the humor too, that it's not some like teenagers that are doing it, but it's these grown women who are also doing this. And it's like you said, Jen, like we just do that and it's stupid that we do it. And so that's what makes that so funny.
Well, I applaud the honesty there.
Oh, yeah.
We got to pivot.
The overcompensation of warmth. Ooh.
Yes,
girl.
yes.
That's girl right there.
We gotta pivot and talk about another rest in peace, Bernie Mac, the pastor. I got a story to go along with this, but
all right, ready.
What y'all think about the pastor?
I mean, Smokey clocked it from the beginning, you know?
Mm-hmm.
He's just, see, I told you.
Right.
As the pastor's like, you just feel the eagerness as he's like rolling up into the home.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Also, another very real life thing from back in the day, Craig is supposed to stay at the house to guard the landline because the cable people's supposed to call. I have been in that situation. My mom goes, it's like, I'm like 13 years old. I'm going to go skateboard with the friends. You skateboard in front of the house and keep the windows open so you can hear the phone ring. What? Like, that is a real life scenario. But, yeah, the pastor. So there was a group trip to Atlanta years and years ago. And there was some drinking. There was some chronic found. And someone y'all have met, Nathan, got a little crossfaded. And we were in a shuttle on the way back to the hotel. And he was not doing so good. So I went to the back of the shuttle where he was. And I said, see, Nate, the weed be letting you know. Evil lurks. That fool cussed me out like he never has before and was just like, get the hell away from me. I can't with you right now. Get the fuck back to the front of the bus. It was some reverse Rosa Parks shit.
Reverse Rosa. Sit in the front. Yeah.
Fun fact.
The weed be letting you know. That's hilarious. So yeah, Spokey says that when Pastor Bernie Mac shows up, I don't know if we get the pastor's name. I think he's the pastor.
He's the pastor.
At 74th Street Baptist Church.
That's right.
Which, again, every Black hood has a numbered Baptist church. 2nd Street, 1st, this, that, and the 3rd. So immediate relatability. And then the Black pastor being shiesty.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Now, what y'all think about Mrs. Parker? Know what she doing with the little shorts on?
There's so much mystery with Mrs. Parker.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean,
what's going on?
Film moment. The slow-mo is so good because it's immediate POV with our protagonist. Like it's just indulged. The sunlight's catching the sprinkler, you know, like it's hitting all the right curves, you know, like that is just, you immerse yourself into like the mind of a teenage boy for a moment as they're just like, so I thought that was great. But yeah, what's her life like?
Sarah, what did you think of Mrs. Parker?
Here's the thing. In this scenario, I am Craig's mom going, what is she doing? Like, come on now. We don't need all this. Like, so I was totally judging her that entire scene. And then Craig's mom comes out and comments and I'm like, yes, I am with you. Yeah. But yeah, it's very effective in showing us all of these different facets of the neighborhood, all of these very colorful characters that live there. So it was just another example of a very different type of person that lives here and is obviously the source of some very funny drama. And Craig and Smokey have front row seats to some really, really great neighborhood tea that is about to be spilled.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Y'all catch anything else about Miss Parker?
I know you're talking about, of course.
All right, alley-oop. Jarren.
When you watch that scene again when they first see her and she's watering her garden, she's really not watering a garden. She's watering dirt.
Yeah.
And it's like one plant potentially there.
There's one flower.
One flower. So she's just as thirsty as that dirt is. Right.
Right. That was another thing that took a while to catch. Not as long as Joyce
That's the point, though, because she's bending over and you're not looking at the ground. So Nolan is picking.
No, you're looking at her.
Forget logic is out the window. Forget why she's outside. Forget all that.
Years
Like
later, wait a minute. This whole time she's been watering dirt with 2-foot flowers. What is going on here?
Oh,
and then
so
you get Mr. Parker's reveal. And you're like, what is really going on in this house?
Mm-hmm. And then Ezel come by. He's stealing women's clothes just because
he going thrift shopping.
Yeah, he got to go thrift them, get his money, and then go buy his crack.
Oh yeah.
And then all right, so Big Worm is back. Who would have thought this would have been his other occupation?
I loved that bit. Because, like we talked about with the Big Worm introduction scene, he's foreboding, he's dangerous, and then he shows up in a costume, in a fun ice cream truck. Like, it's such a subversion. Like, that was great. That was great. The surprise of that was awesome.
The hood entrepreneur himself.
The little kids, yes.
Pops up in the ice cream truck like he's a good guy, but then you get the whole interaction with the kids is like, the kids are crazy. Everybody crazy in the hood. Who comes to the ice cream truck, Pat, to get some chili Fritos?
For real. For real. It's an ice cream truck. Also, I love that the kid walks up and he's like, what you want? What you got? Like every single item isn't plastered on a plastic board right next to the window. Like that kid.
What the you want?
Yeah, that kid had no fucks to give. What you got?
It's like Big Worm talking to his own self as a child or something.
Right.
Like that interaction. So like the first statement is what you want, what you got. Big Worm cuts out all the niceties at that point. Boy, what the you want? So he gets straight to the cussing apple boy. Boy, look at some chili Fritos. Yeah, that interaction is classic. And plus we get introduced to someone there too, an actress. Did y'all caught the actress as a child?
Nope. Sarah, you're our only hope.
Nope. Go ahead, Jarren.
Megan Good.
Yep. Megan Good is the little girl with the backwards cap at the ice cream truck. Man, I hate him. And she gets her own little line. Yeah. She gets into the Screen Actors Guild from saying one line right there. So brilliant. Small stuff like that. Like years later, you're like, oh, snap. This cast was decked out.
Right. The way Smokey counting out the money, 20, 40, 80, 100, 120, 140.
And look, what's Big Worm saying? Man, that's $100. Stop playing with me. And it's really just $80. Because when he scrambles it up, it's just 420s. So the flip made it like it was 5 of them.
Mm-hmm.
And Big Worm he thought it was 5. He got tripped, but not all the way true. But it's like, yo, this is all that small detail stuff is like stuff you don't catch on the first view. Yeah, watch it multiple times. Like, oh, okay, everything is funny.
Right. And then that's when Craig realizes he's been pulled into this drama. A little while later, critical scene. Red comes home from work and stops by. His face is jacked up. The infamous damn. But I love that he's like, man, we was rewinding the tape. Kind of looked like your head, but we couldn't tell from the back. Like this. That's when you know Craig got fired on some straight bullshit.
High turnover jobs, man.
Now, Debo comes back because Smokey needs to get his ass up off his shoulders and make that money when Hector and Homeboy roll by. Debo, I love the behind the pedal cam, especially for 1995 with Debo, like on top of the music and all of that, just like chef's kiss. But like, Debo, he there to rob. What you got in my 40, homie? Like, so this is how ingrained like this movie is. I remember Jarren telling me that back in the day at his job, he had to go to his IT guy and walked in the room and was like, yo, what you got on my keyboard, homie? Like, you just talk that way. Just be like that. But yeah, Debo steals Red's chain and it's a travesty. Red just can't stop taking licks.
When you got 4 actors on one small screen like that, you got to notice the body language. Everybody's body language is perfect. Debo's imposing. He's crossing the boundary. He's imposing figure in your personal space. Red is trying to be very limp and looking away. The clothes are limp. Everything is limp. He's very tense and scared, nervous, right? And then Craig is kind of just like looking like, it's on his property. What's about to happen next? He's waiting to see what happens next on his property. He lost control of the situation, really.
Mm.
And Smokey and Debo about to have this whole thing where they're about to have this plot going to Stanley's spot and all that. But it's like that scene, the four guys, they just do everything where even the nonverbals say a lot. It's like, oh, smart. That's good.
And even the visuals of them frantically like taking all their jewelry off, like adds so much to the anticipation, you know, because like it's like we can see what they're feeling and they're literally preparing themselves for this interaction that's about to unfold, you know, like it obviously like works for Debo just coming around and just stealing people's stuff, but like visually too, you see them all just as fast as possible. And I think like that translates really well to the emotion of the moment too, for us to see it.
And I love that there's that shot and Red says the line that like, oh, I'm just going to tuck it in.
Yeah.
And how that increases the stakes of that moment. Because we've seen previous interactions where Smokey and Craig have hidden everything and they've left fine. Like they haven't had anything stolen because it's hidden. And so now we already know, oh no, Debo's coming. If you just tuck your chain in, that's not going to be good enough. So it automatically creates more stakes for an already tense interaction.
Yes. And we already saw, speaking of the nonverbals and the facial expressions, the interaction with Debo before, when he straight up frisks Smokey while he's sitting there, like he's the straight up police. Like these are grown ass people. He's like feeling his pockets, pulling on his shirt. Like, and you can see on Smokey's face, like, what the fuck? Like,
and it's like, that's after he said, you know, what's up to these dudes? What's up, Craig? What's up, Smoke? He gonna grab my pockets? Like, that's hood. That's that hood friendship stuff. One moment we cool. Next moment, what you got with my 40? Like, what?
Exactly. There's a beautiful, like, line in this scene with Red that Jarren and I will often talk about. And this is one of those things, you was talking about mystery earlier. Jarren, do you want to take this one?
Sure, man. Sure. Red is asking the dudes, I mean, why y'all ain't help me? And everybody's got an excuse. And the question comes up and it leads to this like mystery, one of the mysteries. What about that time tried to choke me and Smoke backyard? And it's like, what are we talking about?
That's a whole other movie.
It's a whole other scene. We don't get a flashback, nothing. That's just a comment that something happened.
Right.
And there was no, like, people didn't step up with Red didn't step up. Red's like, no, see, that was different. And like, he's recalling it, like, oh no, that was different. And like, I'm like, what happened? Let me see it.
And
we don't get that flashback.
And when you're thinking about the dynamics of these characters to the point where they are still interacting civilly, I guess, like Craig was choked by Debo and he still is like letting Debo roll up in his driveway and just be like, what up with it? Like, what the hell was that about? Like, I want to watch that movie. I want to know why the health club on 108, oh, they opened that already. That implies that there was a delay. There was a reason they didn't open it. I don't know. What's up with the health club on 108th? Also, Debo don't be pulling this shit on them fools around the corner. What's the deal with the fools around the corner? Why doesn't he pull this on them? What's their whole deal? What's it even look like around the corner? We don't know. I want to know.
Well, this might be a little bit of a side tangent.
Yeah, I want to take a tangent too. Go ahead, Jen.
Okay. Oh, I'm curious yours.
Mine's still movie, like the movie related, but I want to talk about the music for a second.
Okay.
And get this through line real quick to a current movie that's out that's hot. So the music in the movie, Jen, you hit on it, sets atmosphere up. And I think at times in the movie, it's also part of the script in a sense, like very much a part of the conversation going on. So, for example, I feel like all the music's perfectly placed, but like when Smokey's starting to smoke and they're playing Mary Jane, and then you get the whole sequence with them having a good time. Whoa. So I feel like you're on this vibe with them on the Mary Jane. All right, cool. The scene I was talking about earlier where Craig is high and they talking and the Cypress Hill track is on, you know, roll it up, light it up, smoke it up, inhale, exhale. So the song is doing what they're doing, like the action. But notice when the song is on and Craig has that moment where he's like hearing his heartbeat and he thought he heard the phone, like he runs inside, the music's still going. When he comes back out, the music stops immediately on the door when he comes out. And it's like you get this music that's a part of this fantasy. And then when it cuts out, reality like hits again. So the music plays an interesting part in the movie as a part of the movie, such a way that subconsciously you as an audience member are vibing with the character in the movie. Like they're interacting. When Keep the Head Ring come on, they're driving the car, ding, ding, dong. You are bouncing, they're bouncing. I'm with Smokey and Craig right now. So I think that draws you into the movie. And so here's my through line though. So set in LA, right? Who else is from Cali? Born in the 80s. Ryan Coogler. So Ryan Coogler has admitted that Friday is in his DNA. And when you watch the movie, I watched the movie Sinners. Music is critical to the story. I think Ryan Coogler can't help but make music critical to the story. He did that with Black Panther. He's done that with Fruitvale Station. Like music is a part of the thread of the movie. Sinners is most explicitly a part of the thread. But I think that's in his DNA, that music has to balance out with the characters to enhance the whole experience. And you notice in Sinners, like one of the main things about music is that Black music is a through line to the past and the future. Like it's all connected. Music draws everything universally through time. And Friday, you kind of get that because you get this fusion of hip hop and soul. So you're getting some Rick James, you're getting some Isaacs, but you're getting Ice Cube, you're getting Cypress Hill, you're getting the fact that hip hop comes from. And so anybody listening to music in the 90s used to listen to the 80s and 70s music too. That was in the playlist. So every Black family can relate to the soundtrack of Friday. Like it's just as important, the soundtrack, as the movie script itself. It's a part of the movie, but you can't separate it. And it's a legendary soundtrack. But it's like, yo, that's dope. I think Coogler carried that with him and it's going to continue to follow him throughout his career, making music an important part of the movie. So yeah, I thought that was super interesting. That's my tangent.
I love it.
That was so good. Like, so well said, so well articulated. And it's you're so right that it cannot be untangled. The visuals too, the character, the story are so deeply intertwined with the music, and music is powerful. It's immersive. And so of course that needs to tie in with these moment creation, and where it's a series of moments and atmospheres and characters and people. Like Debo, he's got his own theme, really. Like it's the same theme every time. That's why I was thinking about Darth Vader and just, the way that like we feel that ominous presence when he comes. But Debo's got his Debo theme, that's played every time in a variation. And you feel it like entering into your orbit. All the other like characters and moments have that same like dynamic changing between mood and atmosphere. And yeah, it's so good. So good. Even the lyrics, like you were mentioning.
I want to give a thoughtful production shout out. So if you watch this movie, especially if you watch it, with surround sound, I don't know how it works with headphones. See, because I know Jen, she'd be sitting in the bedroom with a laptop on her lap in the dark, like she in a clubhouse when she watched movies. But if you watch on surround sound, you'll notice attention that was given to background sounds. When Craig's dad leaves and it's still at the table, you hear the truck turn on back out of the driveway and drive off. When Smokey jumps back out the window and you hear the very amusing, unnecessary eagle call when he's in Felicia's room trying to get the money, you can hear him beating Ezel's ass outside. There's a lot of these like subtleties that are off camera that are just like consistent with like what should be happening and the timing. Beautiful.
Yeah, my theory is that all that continuity is a result of amateurs making a movie.
I agree.
I think the fact that they were amateurs, they would have more attention to details like that because they're like, well, you can't let it slide. Like once you're experienced, you can let stuff slide. Like the audience won't even know. To them, it's like, no, the audience is going to catch that. We need to continue the story in the background too. Like we want people to not hear that. And so I'm like, yo, that makes it even more brilliant. But I think that's a consequence of them like trying to get it right. The whole thing. So like, oh, smart though. To me, that movie, like Shakespeare himself would struggle writing a movie that good. Like that script. That script has everything dialogue-wise. That's punchy, sharp, real, organic, witty. And like I said, the dialogue sticks like it does. Like people are starting to catch up to the fact that Friday, like why is Friday such a cultural touch point? Everything in it is like proverbial at this point.
And I gotta make a plug for everyone to see One of Them Days. It is like a modernized like Friday for this generation. It's not at the same level, but it is still excellently done. And I'm gonna say this because I know y'all be staying on that Oscar circuit. When this movie isn't nominated, see, the Oscar bait be letting you know. Conspiracy lurks.
This has been on my watch list for a while. I'm just so intrigued to see SZA act. Like she can do anything she wants to do. And I'm just so excited to see her just on the big screen. You know what I mean? She's so dynamic and electric in all of her interviews. So I'm pumped for this one. I gotta watch it. It's a good rec.
I know we getting to the point where we gotta wrap. I got one more question for you two hosts. Ladies, thank you for having us.
Yep.
Who suffers the most in this movie?
That's a good question.
So you thinking like it's a trick. It ain't a trick.
Yeah, I'm like, do you have an answer? Is there an answer you have in mind? And you about to pop off if we don't?
So here's the thing that I kept thinking about. I'm going to answer your question with a non-answer, as I am often prone to do. But in the shootout moment, there was a lot of bullets fire in all kinds of places, and bullets have to go somewhere, i.e. into houses. And so I just wanted to see, what does Craig's house look like post this shootout? Like, is this just riddled with bullet holes now? So if that is the case, then I would say that Craig's family and their house suffered the most, because property damage and how many repairs are going to have to be done on this house now.
It is funny you say that. I would wager that the garage took most of the heat because of the way they pulled up to the driveway. But all right, but Craig and the family's house. Jen, what do you got?
Man, Felicia just wants to she just wants some friends. She just wants to hang out. So I was gonna say Felicia, because people just be so dismissive of her, and I feel for her. So,
all right,
my final answer is Felicia.
That's fair. There's an objective answer, and you both wrong.
Okay, I knew there would be.
I'm gonna hand this one back over to the homie.
All right, so you're talking about a character in the movie whose house was broken into, property destroyed, lawn was used for Mortal Kombat, essentially.
Car windshield busted up on. It's Stanley all day.
Stanley just wanted to keep his grass clean.
Right.
That's all he wanted.
That's all he wanted. Trips over a wheelbarrow. Probably gave himself a shin splint. Again, like Jarren said, his lawn was used for the big fight to the point where Debo was left on it like some trash. Not to mention Stanley's trash is all over the sidewalk. You got to clean that up. His car windshield jacked up. His little cute wall keeping his nice lawn together is missing brick now. That man
Suffered the most.
Yep.
He suffered the most. I know we got to wrap, but I don't want to wrap yet.
Okay.
I get bonus content with
all right, I'm ready.
In my mind. So I do want to talk about real quick how the movie subtly is teaching you how to stand with the bullies and curb gun violence at the same time.
Yeah.
So it's all funny. But I think when Craig has almost near the climax, he has to go into his room and get the gun. The conversation he has with his dad is one of the most important in Black cinema. Most important in Black cinema. What are you going to do with that? His dad asks. And Craig has to say something that sounds crazy, but he's like, me and Smoke got into some stuff. I got to walk Smoke to his house. And his dad's like, me and your mother would never moved in this neighborhood if we know you need a gun to walk down the next street. And Craig's like, you know how it is out here. No. And Dad's like, no, I don't. You kids are punks, sissified, afraid to take a butt whooping. He said, when I was coming up, this is all you needed. And you put the hands up in the fighter stance, and you get a moment where he's like, put your dukes up, son. You know, Craig puts his hands up and he says the famous lines. You win some, you lose some, but you live. You live to fight another day. You think you're a man with a gun. You think you're a man with a gun in your hand, don't you? Craig's like, I'm a man without it. Put the gun down, son. And so that moment to me is like a moral lesson for anybody who's watching. Like, I hope that actually did curb gun violence for a few weeks in the hood, where people were thinking like, all right, to be a man, I don't need to shoot somebody. Let me just go square up with my hands, and we fight it out. But the movie had a lesson like that buried in it. That's like, oh wow, you know, everything was fun in games.
Yeah.
But this right here is a lesson you could take away. And it's really a story about a boy who learns how to become a man.
Become a man. Yeah.
Especially buried in what's considered a stoner comedy, which I don't subscribe to this being a stoner comedy.
Stoner comedy? No.
Like, it's an element, but it is not, like, when I think of what the subgenre stoner comedy is, I don't see this movie in that stack.
Mm-hmm.
And Craig has a moment where he faces Debo and he has to recall that lesson because Debo talks about his pops, he used to get beat up and all that. And so Craig pulls out a gun, about to shoot Debo. Debo's like, what you gonna do with that? What you gonna do with it? Debo's not even intimidated by a gun in his face. So
He's make me mad.
You just decided to make me mad. And he's like, put that gun down. And Craig recalls, he puts the gun down. They actually have a full out fight, you know? And so he stands up to the bully the right way, in my opinion, long term. Like, you want to get your respect. That's how you do it. Shooting them doesn't get you the respect like beating them up in a fight, fair one. And so I thought, okay, yeah, the movie had lessons like that that are subtle, but they stick with you in your life.
We also got to give a shout out to Nia Long. She rolls up on Debo with Felicia in tow on some like, you ain't intimidating me, fuck you and your bullshit. Like, Debbie was ready to square up.
And at that point, like, Debo was a bad guy, but he wasn't bad yet until he slapped her. Right. It's like, he a bad dude, but now it's like, all right, there's no sympathy anymore. And I think that was the point. Yeah.
Yeah, I loved that moment too, because we've seen, you know, an hour plus of just these guys, grown men, just like, oh yeah, Debo, like, do whatever you want. Like, I'm not going to stand up to you. And then you see Debbie and she's like, no, I'm not having any of this, and gets in his face. I loved that moment, because it's not until she does that, then Craig feels like permission and emboldened to then stand up to Debo. So shout out to Debbie. She's an MVP in this film.
Looking out for her sister. You know, despite all her sister's done.
She also had some great nonverbal facial expressions when Smokey rolls by the house and is like asking her about Janet Jackson and whatnot. But anyway, Jen, you were about to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to say, I remember the first time watching this and then the second time feeling that with a lot of comedies, they kind of just stay, you know, up here. It's fun. It's a thrill ride. It's funny. But there's a shift that happens when Smokey has that emotional moment with Craig, and the third act is unfolded, and there's a lot. It hits emotionally more than I was expecting, especially the first time around. And it's that moment where Smokey's like, "Yeah, you're right. Like, I got myself into this bind. Like, I gotta figure it out on my own. Like, I shouldn't have dragged you in here." And there's a choice that Craig makes to say, "No, we're in this together." And I remember in that moment, like the atmosphere, the tone shifts a little bit in that moment. You know, like they're so funny. Moment to moment, leading up to this point. But the movie allows that moment to breathe, where Craig's like, no, like, we're in this together. Like, I'm with you in this, you know? And we see a different side of Smokey. We see a key choice for Craig to make. And so, Jarren, your framing, I think you mentioned it earlier in our conversation, and then again this time, but the framing of this movie of Craig becoming a man and making some of these difficult choices where he has options and he's choosing to look out for his friend. He's choosing to hear those words of his father and take them in and be a man. It's so much growth for this character that I think is like burning beneath the surface of what is a fun premise, but there's a huge arc that he goes on.
True.
Yeah.
So true. Great. That scene is very important. I'm glad you brought it up. If I get dealt with, I get dealt with. That's what Smokey says.
Yes.
So he just comes to grips with, my life might be ended this day. And Craig's like, nah, I can't let that happen.
Yeah.
I'm standing by.
Mm-hmm.
You also get a sense of like the socioeconomic condition that they're living in. But Craig can literally say, "I might die tonight," and no one is willing to give him $200 or doesn't have $200 to give him. Which in this day and age, you know, we'd be like, that should be doable. Like, you know, especially if someone's telling me that their life is literally in danger. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So good.
but and Ezel, you know, he gotta take Debo's shoes, leave his machete-sized shiv on his chest.
Because I steal. I don't kill.
Exactly.
So even the crackhead has morals. It's got
Right.
standards, man.
Right. I will give a quick 10 years ago on a Sunday, Jarren and I celebrated the 20th anniversary of Friday. We started 10 in the morning with 40s, and the whole thing was we were just gonna have this movie on loop all day, and people can just come on by. And so we celebrated on Friday. We celebrated Friday on Sunday, observed on Monday, because we were smart. We took the day off the next day. Scott shows up, his aforementioned college roommate, at 11:30, sits with his arms crossed, like, I'm just here to get my watch in, niggas. Y'all gonna be acting stupid, all turned up later. So I'm just here to get my viewing in and bounce. And we're like, how'd you know 11:30? He's like, it's a 90-minute movie. You started at 10. I figured it out. You just sits there, curmudgeons, and then he bounces. At 2 p.m., everyone else starts rolling in. People be drinking. The Commonwealth of Massachusetts, which hates fun, somehow we were able to figure out how to get alcohol delivered, case of 40s in tow, and a bottle of Absolute vodka. That's when things took a turn. I bring all this up because the fallout was fantastic. I'm getting texts or like the days after being like, what do you do when you go home and it's 7 p.m. on a Sunday, the sun's still out, and you're like drunk to the point of like the end of a Saturday night? Like, you don't just go to bed at 7 p.m., but you want to. Like, what do you do with yourself? One person's lady friend took a little slip and fall down some carpeted stairs, stuffed her face up. Like, the stories just kept coming in. People, my roommate at the time went to work, made it like an hour and a half, and had to come home. Like, another friend,
That's right.
same type of thing, went to work, was feeling nauseous, had to dip out before lunch. Like, it was some raucous action, and I love it.
Amazing. We got a picture of everybody watching
Yeah,
in the
Oh,
afternoon.
I love that.
yeah. We got a little panorama. Your roommates came through.
Yeah. It was like open door policy. People
Right.
just showed up.
That was the
Sat around.
photo was taken at 2 p.m., not at 7 p.m. The 2 p.m.
Right.
Yeah, it was no
Ain't nobody
later
was
than-
working a camera at 7 p.m.
right. It was no later than 3.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, good. And that's what I mean about it bringing
I
people
love it.
together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like good times, just
Mhm.
good stuff.
Mhm.
But yeah, Jarren and I used to watch this movie weekly, and it was just what you did every Friday, period. For like,
Weren't you telling me, Pat, that like even when you guys weren't even in the same place anymore, you would just like hop online together?
oh
We'll
yeah,
get to
we
watch this
figured
movie
that out
together and-
before that was a thing because of COVID, where it's
Yeah.
like you sync up
I love
the
that.
playback and you on a call like this, you just
Yeah.
watching Friday.
I love it. 30 years. Wild.
Yeah,
Wild.
Amazing.
appreciate
Okay.
y'all being
Yeah.
down to have us and to do this movie because we know it is different from a lot of the cinema that y'all be talking about.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, them artsy fartsy indie dramas, you know, Oscar bait, all of that. No, thank you both for being on and joining and sharing your thoughts. The trivia that we failed, Sarah and I got an F on that quiz, but so interesting. And then all of the just like the larger significance, the meaning, the thematic pieces of this that make up what makes this film so special and so unique and just a cultural centerpiece. So great. So thank you. We appreciate it. I know life is busy, but this is awesome. We appreciate the time. So good.
Happy to be here.
Same. Thank you.
We'll
Thank
see y'all for the 40th year anniversary. Yeah?
Maybe. They're also supposed to be making the final movie in the franchise, which I don't
Yeah.
know if y'all have seen the other ones. Next Friday and Friday after next is a Christmas movie. Definitely worth watching. But last Friday, has been in production hell. New Line, get your shit together. And Ice Cube's been trying to get it made. So many people from the original Friday have died, like the actors. So Last Friday can't even take like the shape or form that like it was intended to have.
Yeah.
Craig's dad has passed away. Debo has passed away. Ezel has passed away. Bernie Mac, the pastor, has obviously passed away. Like, sad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. At this point, do you even want it? Like, do you want to just let this piece of IP be pure and golden and not tainted with any stuff? Or are you like, I could be curious to see what they do, and then I will choose to erase it from my memory if I hate it.
I mean, I look at Friday as its own standalone. There happen to be 2 other movies. So if there happens to be 3 other movies, fine. It won't taint my relationship with the first one the same way the second and the third have not. But
yeah, I'm curious. I think it's a golden opportunity in there because like all the people that passed away to pay some tribute and close a big circle, you know.
Yeah.
Could be very poignant type movie too.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Meaningful. If they do it well.
They do it well.
But if it's in some good hands, as long as like the studio doesn't just like overtake it with their marketing stuff. The rewrites, as they do. So good. All right. Well, thank you both. This was awesome. We loved every bit of it. So special. Honestly, one of our most special episodes. Any time that like we can hear just the heart behind what a movie's meant beyond just, you know, like film analysis stuff, but like, no, this is like moved me, shaped me. Like that's the magic of movies. So we love it so much.
Like I said, thank you for having me back. Because sometimes the content, I just be on one when we review and stuff. See, Jarren, I got my control over the podcast. They be like, Pat's too much. Then we let some time go by. They be inviting me back again.
Mm-hmm. I see that. I can see that.
Well, we just need to review good things. The thing is, like, if you hate something, you will pop off, and we've reviewed some things that you didn't like. So we want you to be your full, whole, colorful self, Pat. Okay?
That's fair. That's fair.
I want you yelling into the mic if you're unhappy.
The break from A24 discussions probably has been.
Yeah, we need it. Yeah, we'll let that sit for a few years before we give you another A24 one. And Jarren, your mind and ability to articulate is so good, so incredible. Like you'll distilled out and then like build a whole thesis around it. It's awesome. That connection point with Sinners was gold. So good stuff.
He stayed doing that too. I remember sitting with him watching for his first time Django Unchained, and our friend, my roommate, was doing grad school homework in the other room, and he comes out and he's like, "Oh, Jarren, what you think of the movie?" And he just looks at him and he goes, "This movie is better than you." Like, he basically just said your whole existence as a human being is lesser than this movie.
Jarren's like, yeah, I did say that.
Yeah, I sure did. I still mean it.
And I still stand by it.
Exactly. And that's a conversation for another time where he could distill the significance of that movie. But at a high level, it was better than that person.
Wow. I'm intrigued.
Shout out
to hear the thesis. I'm here to hear the thesis by it, but that's for another day.
Another day.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's wrap here, shall we? So thank you for listening to this week's episode of Movies and Us. Our name sums it up. We're all about movies and the powerful ways we can connect with each other, the world around us. This podcast is about all of us and our shared stories. Everyone is welcome here. We're so glad you spent time with us today for this conversation. It was fabulous. You can subscribe to this podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you tune to your favorite shows. Drop us a rating and review. Your thoughts about Friday. How many times have you seen it? Is this also just a warm hug for you when you just need it, when you need it? You can get up with us on Instagram, Threads, and Blue Sky at Movies and Us Pod, or email us at moviesanduspod@gmail.com. Check out our website, andusmedia.co, for the latest on Movies and Us and our other podcast, TV and Us. We'll be back next week. We're actually going to be covering a few films from the Seattle International Film Festival. We're so excited. Sarah's going to make her way up to the Pacific Northwest. So we're going to be covering one of the SIF films, The Things You Kill. Super pumped about that. So
SIF action.
you have an amazing week.
I'm impressed.
Go ahead.
Some SIF action.
Oh, yeah. We're so pumped. We're so pumped. I hope you're free one of those days. You should come see one of them with us. It'd be amazing.
Yeah, let's coordinate.
Yeah. All right. Well, we hope you have an amazing week. We'll talk again with y'all very soon.